I've just addressed Hasan Piker's comments as it relates to the Jewish community as forcefully as I can, and I will continue to do that.
Yes, but in your original statement, he was not addressed by name. That's why I was raising the question. You issued a statement yesterday slamming what you called the malicious claim that American Jews are inviting violence against themselves as, quote, dangerous and anti-Semitic. Was that in reference to far-left influencer Hasan Piker and his recent very controversial comments?
Yes, those comments were dangerous, malicious, and anti-Semitic, and should not be tolerated by anyone in the public square. What we've seen is a startling rise of hate crimes all across the United States of America, but particularly in this moment directed against our Jewish brothers and sisters. And everybody, regardless of ideological perspective, should be willing to denounce this rise of anti-Semitic rhetoric, hate crimes, and bigotry, and actually try to move us to a society where we embrace everyone.
Yeah, but when your mindset is to embrace everyone, that means you're embracing some of the worst of the worst. One can make the argument that that's exactly who Hasan Piker is. So the question here in today's video is Democrats using Hasan Piker, or is Hasan Piker using Democrats? And can they rent Hasan Piker's platform, his access to younger voters, and then discard him after the midterm elections and essentially clean their hands of him? Can they really get away with that? Something tells me the answer might be no, but I'll let you be the judge after this next clip where Hakeem Jeffries is called out for not doing something so simple as it relates to this issue. Take a listen.
Hasan Piker's clout among Democrats, though, particularly some younger Democratic voters, seems to be growing. We saw, for example, his prominence in the Michigan Senate Democratic primary. So why not call him out by name in your statement if you feel so passionately about this issue?
I've just addressed Hasan Piker's comments as it relates to the Jewish community as forcefully as I can, and I will continue to do that.
Yes, but in your original statement, he was not addressed by name. That's why I was raising the question.
Well, maybe that will help you answer the question. Is Democrats using Hasan Piker, or is he using them? If they're too afraid to say his name publicly, especially in a statement that is condemning literal anti-Semitism, I think that tells you who's really in control. And it wasn't just Hakeem Jeffries, by the way. It was his best friend, essentially his campaign buddy, Abdul El Sayed. Here's his statement.
El Sayed, out of Michigan, had a response to the Piker comment. He said this: anti-Semitism is a scourge, and we need to address it in all its forms. And I stand against any rhetoric that puts the community at risk. Nobody speaks for this campaign besides me and my campaign spokespeople.
But as I had already stated, it's easy to write that and release it to the media, but it's one thing to actually act on it. He hasn't acted on it. I mean, when Abdul won his primary election, who was standing next to him? Hasan Piker. Yeah. Now, you know, this has become a serious issue in regards to what Hasan Piker had to say about Jews, that it's led to Abdul El Sayed saying this publicly today in front of a camera.
Now, I think it's important for us to recognize that the position that I hold on foreign policy is about trying to uplift and empower all people. It's about the kids in a community not too far from here where the median income is $14,000 a year, and the fact that Detroit Public Schools Community District is still nearly $1.7 billion behind on the necessary repairs in the school district, despite putting $700 million into the school district over the last year. It's about keeping our tax dollars here to invest in those schools here. It's also about making sure that in our foreign policy, we substantiate equal rights to peace, dignity, and self-determination for Palestinian folk. And I'd rather my tax dollars not get spent to take away some people's self-determination that could be used to empower other folks here. That's not about hating anybody. I'm grateful to have grown up in a community where I got so much exposure and empowerment from the Jewish community. I'm so grateful. Judaism and the Jewish people are a light unto the world. Incredible contributions to our society, our culture, a beautiful faith that rhymes with so much of my own.
You know, it's bad when they have to say, yeah, I grew up with Jewish people. I have Jewish friends. That's kind of like the whole black thing. Hey, I'm not racist. I have black friends. Hey, listen, man, we don't need to judge people also by what they say. We should judge them by what they do. And what Abdul El Sayed's been doing is trying to leverage the audience of Hasan Piker. But he's not going to be able to get away from Hasan Piker and act like, oh, I don't believe Hasan Piker speaks for my campaign. But I want to use his audience. You can't have it both ways, man. And that's essentially the problem with Democrats. It's their Hasan Piker problem. They want to use him and his audience and his access, but they want to tell people we don't agree with his views. How does that make any sense?